What's up everyone? Today we're going to show you how to build your own life-size battle droid. So let's get into the video. So real quick, I did film an intro when I originally started working on the battle droid, but I was sicker than a dog and the energy just wasn't there. So I wasn't really happy with it. So we went ahead and recorded this again. So a few things to note, everything here is printed with Elegoo PLA. Just find the sales on Amazon. I did put a link down below, and everything that I use in this video is going to be a link down below or an explanation as to what you should buy. Or, just my recommendations. You don't have to do everything the same. Ultimately, it's your droid. Do what you want with your droid. Make it look the way you want to look. Maybe you want a clean version so you don't have to do this underbody chrome, everything like that. Do what you want. At the end of the day, it is your droid. I do also want to note, I don't go over any of the actual printing on these. I printed all of the parts on a Bamboo A1 and the Centauri Carbon. It did take about 3 weeks or so. It might have taken a little longer, but I'm not really sure. I think you can get this done in 3 weeks. All the PLA printing with 2 printers. Don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, like the video. When you're commenting, let me know what you think of the droid. Is it cool? Are you going to build your own? If you have any questions, I read every single comment. I'll do my best to answer any questions or even any questions on my process. I'm going to link every single component down below, like I was saying. I also mentioned that a couple times throughout the video, just so that way you guys know. Like, it is all down below. If you don't see anything, I will add it if you leave a comment. Outside of that, let's get into how to build your own battle droid.
So starting off, the first thing you're going to need is an underbody coat, right? This is going to be so we can show that battle damage. This is a metallic, it's called Plata Silver, and it actually shows it on the top of the can. I'm going to show that in a second. And this is Hardcore by Montana Colors. I think it's like a off-brand or like a secondary brand that they have. I don't know. Honestly, you can get any sort of metallic paint. I actually didn't think that this was the best one. And in the background, you can already see I did some of the droids. So what I did was I PLA printed it. I test fitted it with all of the bolts. And I wanted to see if it was going to come out correct, right? I said I wasn't going to show any of the PLA printing. So I already sanded the helmet and glued it up with some E6000 here and super glue. It doesn't matter which one you use. You can use either one, E6000, super glue. They're both going to work. It's going to be sturdy with either one that you choose. What I did to get this post finish looking so good is I sanded the helmet down with like an 80 grit sanding block, or you can use 80 grit sandpaper, doesn't matter again. And then I used 180 grit sandpaper, and then I used 400 grit sandpaper. I'm not spending a terrible amount of time printing these. Like, it's not a big deal. You can get pretty good results, as you can see here, just running like a quick pass. I probably spent 15 to 20 minutes sanding this whole battle droid head. You can still see there is imperfections, and actually like the blotchy point right below that first line on the bottom is a layer shift by my printing. Like, that's not even where the glue up was. I messed up there. You can see where maybe I should have spent more time with like the front nose part here. I think that's excess acetone and Bondo like mixture that I'm going to show later in the video. But there was also some paint overspray. You could see like the droplets. You can see all the bolts actually this is assembled with. I did forget to assemble the ribs here. I didn't have the elastic yet, and I think I also forgot to print a few pieces when it came down to it. But the chest piece looked pretty good. I actually had some issues printing that on one of my printers as well. And when I say issues printing that print, it wasn't a file thing. It was me using the Centauri Carbon, and it was having that anomaly issue. Going on to the Bondo, this is just what I had. You can use the Auto Shop body filler Bondo, and it's probably actually going to be better than the glazing spot putty that I used. This is just what I had. I figured I would use the rest of it. This is more for just like small pinholes and small layer lines. This is also the acetone I used. You can use any acetone. It doesn't have to be this. There's probably cheaper stuff than this, but I just went to Walmart, picked up the first acetone I saw, and that's what we rolled with. You are going to want some materials to mix this with, of course, right? So I would recommend picking up what we got here is like a little mixing bowl. There we go. The mixing cup. So that way you can easily get rid of this stuff. And I don't know. It just makes it easier for disposal. You're not having to worry about what you're going to do with the mixture. Leave it out in the sun, let it evaporate, and then just chuck it. The other thing I would recommend is a respirator. So using a respirator, you want to use proper PPE. Also use some sort of goggles. I only had safety glasses, which actually it's a good thing that I wore them, because when I poured out the acetone, it popped up and got near my face. That would have been a nightmare if it went in my eyes, right? So use your proper PPE. Don't mess around with that stuff. These are some harsh chemicals, so you really got to be careful. Here I am applying that acetone Bondo mixture. You want to put it in any of the areas that have some really thick layer lines that are not going to come out with that sanding method. So essentially, this is where it wasn't properly supported by supports. You can also see on the left hand side between the black and the pink PLA, that's another area you're probably going to really want to focus on putting this Bondo mixture, because I'll show later in the video what the initial results were with me painting that, and you could clearly see that there was a glue up right there. Overall, you don't want to put this on too thick. It's going to cause issues later down the line. When you're sanding, there's just going to be so much that you have to sand off, and you can really see this stuff when you spray paint it. Like, unless it's sanded down really good all the way down to like the height of the PLA, you're going to see it when you paint over it, unfortunately. Here I do apply it towards this shoulder piece, but I don't do it on the right hand side. It really was unnecessary, and I figured that out after I did it. I'm not worried about wasting this mixture. I really just wanted to do stuff as quick as possible, and I did not want to completely sit there and sand all of this Bondo off every single part. This is another piece on the elbow that I had some issues with as far as print layer lines. Really, if I would have just made sure all my prints were really nice and really good before I moved on to this portion, it would have prevented like half of this from happening. But I guess one quick thing to mention while you guys can see it in that elbow is bolts. A lot of this droid is assembled by bolts, and I've linked them all down below. I would recommend picking up the 3D print files before you like say, hey, I'm going to dive into this thing. So that way, of course, you can start printing it, right? But then you can pick up all of the droid parts that you need. I put every single bolt you should need, and you're going to have a lot of extra down in the description. I overbought, honestly. I probably could have spent more time, but when you go on Amazon and you can get it today or tomorrow, versus waiting for like a week, I didn't want to wait. And that kind of bit me in the butt. I probably spent a little more, but the bolts are cheap. You can also see in the middle section, this is assembled with a 3/4 inch dowel. So that's kind of how it works, just to give you an overview, and you can really see all the bolts in the hand here. This is where I applied all the Bondo, and I'm talking on that shoulder. That's where I'm talking about, where I really didn't have to. I probably could have left it off of the neck too, but I thought it would help me hide a lot of the layer lines that were there. I mean, to each their own, right? You can do it whatever way you see fit. And I really mean that. Whatever way you see fit, whatever you think is the easiest. A lot of people just print their droid and assemble it, and they don't even do a lot of this. Like if you print it in a tan color that matches the battle droid already, that's fine. Here I'm applying a really thick coat of the sandable primer. It's from Rust-oleum. It's an automotive primer. This is like the most popular thing. I use like 5 cans of this, honestly. And I do all the fingers. Those are like kind of some of the neck pieces right there. The pistons on the front I think you can see the thumb in the right corner, and then here's like the palms and the fingers, and then some more of the elbow joint. That one on the right side is actually part of the elbow that popped off from the glue. But I do use E6000 to glue pretty much this whole thing. At first I was using super glue, and it just didn't seem, I don't know, it seemed like it wasn't going to work as much, but then E6000 had the tendency just to stick once I did it. Anyway, going back, there is multiple ways to post-process this, right? Not everyone does the same exact thing. Here you can see I applied the Bondo. I didn't even sand it and then spray painted it. On this leg on the left-hand side, what I did was I did the primer, I did the Bondo like the leg on the right-hand side, and then I sanded it with the 80 grit, then the 180, then the 400, and then I gave it a coat of that metallic silver. Basically what it did, and you can see I actually used a sanding block as well. It just made it easier to grip. But going back, what I did was I saw a lot of the imperfections once I did the metallic paint. It pointed out every single section that I really need to go over it. The foot, I really didn't even spend that much work on it. And this gap was large, right? That's where I glued it. And the chrome really helped point out that I need to get that fixed. You can also see overspray. So if you are a little heavy-handed with the spray paint, the metallic is really going to point it out. So be careful when you do that. It's really easy to overspray the metallic paint. And it could be the paint I used. I honestly didn't care for it because every time I touched a print, even after it was dry, it left paint on my fingers. These pieces here, I really didn't do much to them. I applied some Bondo in like where like the little pieces are. I don't know, that bottom portion where it's like stairs or whatever, and I sanded it out and then I just painted them, right? I probably spent 5 minutes sanding those, and you can see the overspray on this piece. I'm not worried about all those layer lines you're gonna see because when I go ahead and put the final coat of paint on that, I'm very certain you're not going to see that. But I will sand out that overspray because I feel like you're going to see that on the final test print. And that's something I'm kind of worried about. But the chrome shows every single imperfection. And that's why I really like doing it. And then I can go over it again and just fix it. If you mess up anything, and I'm saying anything on this droid, don't worry about it. You can go back and fix it. It's not a big deal. Everyone messes up. Don't be afraid to try something new or try a different method because you think it's going to work. The worst thing that happens is that you have to reprint that piece. But for the most part, you're never going to have to reprint a piece. You can see here I actually finally get a bigger paintbrush to use the acetone Bondo mixture, and you can actually see how much I was kind of applying if you were a little questioning about how you would do it. And here I'm putting on really thin layers. I put a thick coat on before. It was too much, and here I'm just going with really thin layers because when you do the Bondo acetone mixture, it dries so fast. So you can put multiple layers, like if you just go around it, like, so even if I applied one, went to the other side would be dry before I even got back to it. But this is drying even as I'm like putting it on here, like it's already dry basically, like just flipping it around. And then now I go to the other side and I'm filling up this gap because what I did was I painted it with that final Sahara Beige. It's a Montana Sahara Beige. I'm going to have it in the link below. That's the paint I used for the final Battle Droid color. And that's where I saw there was just like this major line. I didn't think it looked good. So I went back through, sanded it down. And you have plenty of paint to do this with if you buy enough, right? I used 3 cans of the metallic and 3 cans of the Montana Sahara Beige. And I still had some left over in the 3rd can from the Montana Sahara Beige. I actually bought 4 cans because I thought I might need it because everyone was saying 3 cans. And I wanted extra for those mess ups, right? So I could test it. But I got away with 3 cans. As long as you're not doing it on like every single part, I would say you can get away with 3 cans. But if you want to do it on every single part, go ahead. Just pick up an extra can of that paint, and I can guarantee you're not going to run out. Like, you know, you got to be able to check stuff, double check it, especially if this is your first major project. You know, take it slow. Here, every single time before I actually spray paint something with the metallic, I also use compressed air. I would recommend actually getting like an electric air blower, or I don't know exactly what the proper term for those are called, before buying the cans. I only used the cans because that's what I had on hand, and the cans were easy. I didn't want to spend, $20-$30 to get the electric version when I already had cans on hand that I could use, and use those first, and then I'll buy probably another one or I'll buy the electric one for my next project. But I already sanded this down. Again, it's the sanding block or 80 grit sandpaper, whatever you choose. You don't even need like a specific sandpaper. You could maybe do 150 then 400, 150 then 500. I don't know. I don't think it matters, as long as you're making sure that you're getting all the high paint sections and all the globes. Right there, I oversprayed. I could tell, so I rubbed it with my finger, but then it left like streaks. So I know, I'm like, oh man, now I'm gonna have to go back. I did it again, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to go back. But I was like, okay, maybe it'll work out for the weathering. Maybe I'll just leave it. I don't know. And then you can see, I guess you can't see it, but now this is where I'm really telling where my glue up portion, I couldn't really see it like I could before. So I was like, okay, the Sahara Beige is probably going to cover this up. And the easy thing about the legs is they stand up on their own. So here is where I'm showing a lot of actually how you put it together. So in each leg, there's also a 3/4 inch dowel, and that it makes it really easy. They all slide together. They even have additional dowels that you print with these files to make sure that everything's lining up correctly. So as long as your prints are just like semi good, they should fit together pretty easily, and then you can glue the dowels and then glue each piece together. With this piece, this is the pistons that I actually never put on before, and they go together with elastic. When you're doing this, I would recommend leaving a lot of extra elastic, because you can see here I forgot to get some sort of scissors or something to cut the elastic, and I was able to tie it under the hip so that way the whole thing didn't fall apart while I went to go find something to cut the elastic. So it definitely helped me there. That's just a little, nice tip that really helped me. Otherwise, I would have been extremely frustrated. Then you can see here I'm attaching the neck with the M6 bolts. And you can tighten each joint so that way stuff doesn't move. So later, if you need to add a blaster or something, the joints and the fingers, they tighten up so that way it's not moving and they can actually hold things. The droid itself is pretty articulated. It comes with files where you can get like a kneeling pose. The legs aren't really articulated, but the chest and the legs are completely articulated. You can swivel the head as well. Overall, there's a lot of flexibility with even how you pose it, just building this portion. So if you wanted 2 droids and you wanted one kneeling down, it does come with files for that. It also comes with like a chest piece with like a lightsaber like hole, so that way you can pretend like a Jedi just came and just destroyed this thing. This you can see on the top, I messed up. Like, I put the wrong bolt in here, and I'm over here trying to sand it, get it down, trying to figure out why it won't fit. And then ultimately, I determined that the bolt was too long when I look in the hole. It was kind of embarrassing, honestly. But this is my final, test build. I want to get every single thing put together before I went ahead and did that final coat of paint. And you can see here, wow, just looking at a chromed droid is awesome. I still did forget a piece in the pistons, but I ended up printing it and adding it later. So here what I'm doing is I'm adding a liquid mask. The liquid mask is just something you can peel off, so that way when I give it that final coat of spray paint, it leaves the chrome underneath. And that was the whole reason for painting the droid chrome. You can see on the hip piece right there, I added some blue painter's tape, just something that would come off easy, so that way I can leave the silver in some of the joints, because I really tried to resemble this off the CGI'd Naboo battle droids. So I went and looked to see how they looked, and that's the look I was going for, something a little battle tested, a little battle worn, not necessarily a clean clanker, right? And I think overall my result came out pretty good, but this is how you add the chrome like blasters sections underneath. Even real quick to talk about, you can see in the middle where the piston meets the chest area. I actually forgot a piece, so I recommend again, learn from my mistakes. Do all of your full buildups. I probably should have did it with just PLA. I probably should have put the pistons on. I would have realized I was missing a piece quicker, and I could even added some liquid mask to one of those sections, but I completely missed the mark there. And my weathering could have been a little better even now in hindsight with some of those sections. So I'm still just adding mask all over. Take a step back. You won't really be able to know what it looks like right until you paint it and remove it. But you can see even on the head there, I put a giant section right there where I'm focusing on right now. And when I got that final coat of paint on there, I hated it. So you can fix it, guys. Like I've said this multiple times throughout the video. Do not be afraid to mess up. You can fix everything. All I did was respray paint the head. Yeah, there's like maybe a little section where the paint is a little thicker. But if you take a step back and if this is a display piece, you can't really tell unless you get really close. And even then, if you're showing this to like a family or friend or whatever it is, the only person that's going to know is you. And it's okay, guys. People are still going to be shocked by how this thing is. It's a 6'4" realistic battle droid, right? Here is me applying that final coat of paint with the liquid mask on there. Pretty straightforward with this Sahara Beige paint. If you get it, it's like widely universally the best color for a battle droid in a lot of the Facebook groups and on Reddit and everything that I've seen recommending a color. Shake this thing till you can't shake anymore because it goes on. It's pretty thick and it has a tendency to like shoot dribbles out, unfortunately. So even on my current droid in its final state, you can see where like all of a sudden it just randomly spewed like droplets of just random paint, which kind of sucks. I could probably fix that too. I could probably sand it out real quick and then reapply a coat. But I'm not worrying about it, right? If this droid was in the factory, what is the likelihood that it would be a perfectly painted droid? Like zero, right? Like even, Geonosis wasn't building these perfect droids. Come on. Like go with it. Stuff doesn't have to be perfect. It kind of adds to the natural feel of things, I feel like. And look, I don't have the best painting setup. I'm on the ground doing it. And look, I'm holding this head, still fixing it, because some of the areas I saw that my paint was a little light and you could see the chrome shining through. Yes, does that work in like the joint areas where it kind of makes sense, where maybe paint was worn through, but not on the bottom of the head, right? And I didn't even, one thing I will note as well, it reminded me talking about this, is I didn't even focus at all on sanding underneath the head. Like, stuff that I wasn't going to see, I didn't even bother sanding. Like, remember that. You don't have to sand the whole thing. Save yourself time. Save yourself the effort. And really, take your time. Get it done. So, that was me assembling a little bit of the droid. Now, I took like a Scott Bright pad and I'm removing the liquid mask. I would recommend getting some sort of like metal like wire pad. It makes it a lot easier, and you can even add some more battle damage if you're light in some areas. One thing to note too is right above the Edo, there's like a silver piston there. I actually bought an aluminum rod off Amazon and I cut it down. Don't buy it unless you have something to cut it down, because I ended up taking a clamp between some like pliers or wire cutters that I had, and I clamped it down as hard as I could, and then that metal rod shot across the room. Don't be me, right? Get some like tin snips or something that's actually supposed to work to cut metal. I don't know. I was winging it, but you can see here it's rubbing off on like that bottom hip section, and then I go down here to do some of the legs. I did this same method for the whole thing. I just forgot to hit record. So even on the chest, I used this like Scott Bright pad, and I think it came out really good. Here I'm using a wash. It's a mini wash actually that's meant for miniatures, but I figured, hey, it's like a brown base. It should work on this. I was putting it in all the lines. So if you look at the Naboo droid, I feel in every single crease section, it's pretty heavy on the weathering. So I wanted to just fill all of those lines with that. And what I'm doing is as soon as I fill it, any overage that's coming out of the lines, I'm immediately wiping with paper towel, just like it was like wiped away or they trying to clean the droid. I think it gives it like this natural look. So even so, you can see I left a little blotch there. I think I don't know, guys. It's an opinion thing, right? I think it came out really good. I'm happy with it. How everything ended up turning out. So then you can see later how I'll actually just put some on the chest and just go with it, right? Like just completely just wipe, like so right there, or I just wipe the top of the chest and I just wipe it off. But you do want to wipe this stuff fast because it dries so quick. I probably could have even watered it down a little more than what it is. This is already like watered down paint. You could have got some like I don't know what it's called. I completely forgot, honestly. But you could use water with like just a regular brown paint. There's something that you can add to like this mini paint that's like a white waterish base to just give it a little more like run. I'll link it down below if I remember. Apologies. I'm just like blanking on what it's actually called. And then here, even on the head, I'm filling in the crack. And I over weathered this head multiple times. Like I do that. I was like, I just don't like it. I don't know what it is. So I spray painted it again, guys. You can fix it. Like I messed up a ton on this droid. Like me weathering this right here, that was probably more for like the legs or the chest, not the head, because it just, the head is what everyone is drawn to. When you walk into a room, you look at the head and boom, look at all that dog hair on my shirt real quick. That just is crazy. But the head is what people are drawn to, and I just thought I over weathered it. So I do end up fixing it. I just spray paint over it. Since there was no like battle damage in those areas, you can't really tell. So here you can really tell like, hey, I fixed that middle section. It's not as brown as the others. But painting the eyes, I messed up so many times. Guys, this is just a story of how I messed up. It's okay for you guys to mess up. It's okay, right? Use the smallest paintbrush possible when you do this. I just took some black miniature paint and I was filling in. You could probably, I thought about trying a Sharpie, but I painted everything else, so I figured I would just try to paint in. It is pretty indented, so if you have some steady hands, you should be able to do it relatively easy. I don't know. I messed up multiple times. So what I did was I just took my Sahara Beige, I spray painted on the bottom and filled in when it dried. But here's a look real quick right before the final like additions to the droid. Oh man, this thing is good looking, right, guys? Like then here's the final run through the back. Maybe it's a little, there's room for electronics too. There I added the bolt a little more. You can see I added the blaster, guys. That I didn't paint at all, but just wow. I think this thing came out great. I'm extremely happy with it. Let me know what you guys think about it. It's just a sight to see, I feel like.
Before we send off the video, if you've made it this far, I truly appreciate you watching. Like, I've gained so many subscribers over the last few days and even weeks, like over this month. It's crazy to me, and it has kept me going, and it made me want to finish this even quicker. We're really close to that 1K subscriber mark, and I have great projects coming soon. I'm here. I just truly want to help everyone build the best projects, make them happy, right? Like, I want to help everyone the best I can. If I don't know how, maybe I'll try to build it myself and try to figure it out. I do have some great projects coming. But again, remember, comment down below. If you have any questions, I read every single comment on the channel. Go ahead and hit that like button and also subscribe. I cannot thank you guys enough for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.